Hey guys, what's up? It's Abby and welcome back to the channel and welcome to a little coffee talk. Here I have my little Moomin mug and I just figured I'd check back into this channel, let you guys know what's going on because I miss making content and I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I have more stuff to talk about. And honestly, I just kind of wanted to talk to you about the direction of this channel, let you know a few things that's gone on in my life and kind of where I'm at. First, let's kind of start with what's going on with me. I have graduated with my master's, whoop-de-doo, and I got a perfect score on my master's thesis. And that was grueling. I wrote like 75 pages or 71, 73 pages, made all my graphics, did surveys, did analysis, and look at that, I'm a master's in economics, woot woot. And I finished my studies. I have now started job searching. I've had no luck with job searching for 6 months, and now the title of recently graduated is fizzling away. And I am now enrolled in Danish school, so I'm trying to learn Danish through one of the kind of language schools here. And I'm kind of progressing through that as I'm trying to look for something part-time to fill the void. So my life is making progress. It's taking a bit. Like, please companies, please take a chance on me. I swear I'm like super hardworking and I would love to learn and apply and be my best self for you. Just please take a chance on me. I even put that ABBA quote in my resume. I figured it's cute, it's quirky. I'd rather they know I'm already weird from the start, so maybe that's discouraging. Who knows? But in any case, I have celebrated my 10th year anniversary with Oliver last year, and now we're about to have our 11th anniversary, which is kind of weird. I'm about to turn 26 years old. I have been with Oliver for over a decade. We haven't gotten married. I mean, we're still planning on it. Maybe it'll happen this year. But, when you have no job, no money, I mean, it's hard to have a wedding, and so it's kind of a combination of things. And we still live in a dorm. So, I'm hoping things are going to change soon. But we're still living in a dorm. And so, there's just not a lot going on. I mean, yes, I've been studying. Yes, I live in Denmark. Yes, I could be talking about Danish culture, but this is just there's nothing I really want to highlight, and there hasn't been a lot of stuff. And I think the worst thing I'm at is when I find a hobby I enjoy, I have a hard time sticking to routines, and I'm not really sure why. I think mainly the most thing that's been inhibiting my content of making YouTube videos has just been kind of myself and my self-reflection, and the fact that I feel like my life is very repetitive. So if making these mundane videos, cleaning the dorm room, all our cooking is done outside, and I'm not going to film in the room that I share with 21 other people because it's a common kitchen and it's their home and their privacy, so I'm not going to do that. And Danish culture, they're very private, and going out in public and filming a bunch of people is a big no-no. So there's not really much to highlight other than, oh, I'm doing this, I'm applying for jobs, I'm cleaning my apartment. And so, this kind of ritual of human behavior of my life has just been jobs, school, a little bit of romance, continue job, school, clean, romance, job, school, clean, romance. And then in some sense, I've been very neglectful of my hobbies and my interests as a bit of a consequence of kind of molding into this blob of trying to get my life together. But I'm at a different point right now. I feel like I'm getting on my feet. I feel like things are starting to get better, and I wanted to highlight that. And I wanted to kind of explore that and maybe make some more content as my life continues to change. And that's kind of where I want to transition into the content I want to make on this channel. So I changed my motto for my channel. I think it's on my banner. I called it Archiving the Adventure, because to me, honestly, I think it's very important for me as a creator and me as a person to capture moments in my life. I am almost 26 years old. I started making videos on this channel about 10 years ago. I made a video called How I Met My Online Boyfriend, and I had reviewed that. I had reviewed that story time. I had reviewed it, I think, a couple years ago or maybe last year, where I watched some of it again. And all of the details that I had said, I didn't realize I had forgotten. Your life kind of becomes a bit blurrier and you don't remember the specifics anymore. I mean, that's the fault of relying on the human machine, the brain. And I mean, in some sense, a lot of things have happened in my life that I have just forgotten. Or maybe my brain has made up. And in some way, it's kind of weird to rely on yourself in its entirety because, wow, I didn't realize all of those details when I had met Oliver. I mean, I remember the general story, but I didn't, and so this channel to me has always been about checking in, talking about what's going on in my life, and, when there are times of appropriate times to film things going on, I like to do that. So vlogging has always been an interest. Also, I do like opening, little surprise bags and talking about little products that make my life a little bit better, or talking about hobbies and interests that make things a little more exciting. But yeah, so maybe in the future, this content of this channel, it's still going to be me archiving my adventure, showing up what I'm doing, maybe filming some bits here and there, talking about hobbies I'm interested in, talking about kind of the whole picture of Abby, whatever year I'm in. For a while, I was trying to figure out what kind of content could I make for this channel that could make it a bit more than just, here's my life, here's my life, here's my life. My life is the same, my life is the same, my life is the same. I think in some sense, when I was younger, I was making content about being in a long distance relationship. And personally, my values have changed. I leave those videos up because I think they're useful, but I find that they're a style of video that's informative, and I like to make videos that are personal. And I don't want to be seen as just a book. I want to be seen as me. And so I don't really enjoy talking about being long distance and giving advice because everyone has a different circumstance. Everyone has a different kind of thing going on in their life. And I don't want to be giving advice to 13-year-olds about how to date people online. Yes, I was 14, almost 15 when I started dating Oliver. But, things happened and I'm not comfortable with that anymore. And I'm also just, in some way, I have, I don't want to be informative about Denmark either. I've moved to this country and I absolutely love it here. I love the people. I love the culture. I love the nature. I love the fact that mosquitoes only exist for like 1 month of the year here. And when I was in the South, I was just bitten all the damn time. I was covered in it. I love how blunt people can be here. I love how oftentimes the more genuine you are, the more people are interested in you. And I find it to be very rewarding to be working in, I had an internship for a little while. I worked in a Danish company, very exciting. I met wonderful people. And I got this great opportunity to see what it's like in a Danish workforce. And the fact that it's flat, they call it flat, where you're on a first name basis, no one's better than you, and it's in some sense you're working as a team, and it's about being your best self and understanding a human and kind of being able to develop as a professional, and becoming a specialist and kind of joining a team. It just feels very purposeful. It feels like work that gives you a lot of meaning. And I had that really bad experience working at the bank, and I was sick. I had lost all my hair. I had gone on antidepressants. I was so stressed out from that job. And to go from that to figuring out the Danish workforce being about being your best self. I mean, obviously, every company is different. But I had worked at this company for a little while on my internship, and that was a wonderful experience. And so I love Denmark. And in the sense that I really hope that I'm able to integrate, manage to learn the language. It's a hard language, just like rocks in your mouth, and my throat so sore from my first class yesterday. In some way, I really just hope to be able to integrate while, still being myself and, adding and helping this place grow into a better place in general. But I find that making content about Denmark as a culture is kind of annoying. It's like the same thing about me making content as a long distance relationship. And this is not bashing, there's people who make content about what it's like living in Denmark, or there's influencers, and I just want to kind of like eye roll to the point that my eyes don't exist anymore And it's like, I'm being a hater right now. I'm going to be a total hater. But I think a lot of people who make content about the country of Denmark have not really lived in it and have not really understood. And they have not had enough people in, their vicinity outside of Copenhagen. And they have, in some sense, accepted the term of being an international without being open. Like, I think being open to another culture is very important to being integrated. And I find that there's videos where people complain about Denmark. The number one complaint, though, that I agree with is dark as hell in the winter here, and that's hard. That's hard to get used to. But the second thing being that people are antisocial here. Danes, I could make a rebuttal video talking about my experience here, and I think that would be okay for content for me to make on this channel. But I don't want to be a place or a channel that people come to figure out how to move to Denmark. I do not think anyone needs to move to Denmark unless you have a valid reason to be here. And I mean, that's a hot take. That's a hot take. But I find that there's a lot of videos about Denmark coming from foreign content rather than being about this beautiful place and my experience and the culture here. It's about how to move to Denmark. And I hate those videos because, truthfully, if you don't have a loved one here, if you don't seek education here, if you don't want to be integrated here, don't go. And that's just because I've been in all these like Facebook groups about Americans in the U.S. And what you find most of the time is people who move to Denmark want to move here because they've heard about it in the news, and they think it's a paradise for their families and their children, and it's a way to get out of the U.S. And Denmark is not. And I don't know. I feel like this is turning into like a weird discussion. Maybe I should cut myself off here. But truth be told, Denmark is a wonderful place, but the content often made about moving to Denmark or Denmark in general is, to me, a very, like, a shallow thing. If we had the iceberg meme, in a sense where you have the tip of the iceberg in Denmark and then you go deeper, deeper, deeper. So you have, a third of the iceberg above and then 2/3 of the iceberg underneath. I feel like people only really understand when they make content about Denmark just the surface bit. And Copenhagen is its own culture in its own way, because that's the capital, right? And it's a huge city, and that's where all of the internationals are. And it is a very reflective of the culture. I mean, I have been in Copenhagen when I studied abroad, and I'm living in Odense right now, but in some way, I think there's a biased perspective. And, I really shouldn't turn this video into venting about why I really dislike these content, because I just, people saying that Danes are incapable of making friends without alcohol, that is like a stereotype here, because I think Danes suffer from resting, frowny face, and I think that's true, because they walk on the street and they respect your privacy and they won't bother you, but they kind of walk around with relaxed expressions, so they always look kind of mad. But like, if you ask someone for help, they're gonna help you. If you drop something, most of the time they will give it to you. They'll help you out, and they have a very trustful society. So, in some way, people are kind to one another while maybe not necessarily speaking and seeming cold. And I have very, very rarely experienced someone being cold. And I have had bad experiences with people here, but I'm not going to go into that. But I think if I was to stick to content that would be, as shallow as how to move to Denmark, as shallow as surface level as kind of what it's like to live here, I feel like I wouldn't necessarily be satisfied. So I don't want to make content about lists, but I could always talk about, my experiences and living here and people here, but I'm not an expert. I'm just an American expat with my own set of experiences, and I do not think Denmark is for everybody. And I also think that, in some way, it's important to realize that. So I like how I've just turned into a bit of a vent. Maybe I shouldn't have, but Denmark is a very wonderful place, and I could make some content talking about it, but I am a bit hesitant to, because I don't want to be an informative channel, because I'm not an expert. I just live here and I love my life here. And so, I mean, yeah, that's about it. I mean, I'm so tempted some of these times to be a bit of a loudmouth and maybe watch one of these videos and react to it. Because in some sense, I feel I have a lot of strong feelings where I live and about the people here and about kind of my experiences. And it's interesting to compare, but I feel like there's a weird kind of bubble. There's like a Denmark is being like to the U.S. I feel like it comes across as a place that is seen as, you know, they did win happiest place in the world, and it's just seen as something, you know, it's very different than what people assume it to be. Kind of like if I moved to Japan, there's a way it's portrayed to the outer world, the Western world. But if I moved there, it's going to be a totally different experience. So I could talk about that. I could react to that. I could just, you know, argue with people. You know, maybe this channel just turns into, instead of archiving the adventure, it's archiving the shenanigans of arguments, archiving the arguments, because I feel like there is a lot to say about Denmark. Anyways, I'm sorry that turned into a vent. Maybe I was just feeling a little bit frustrated about just kind of the community, because even with me trying to meet other Americans here, I find that most everyone is complaining constantly about how bad things are here, and it's just, I'm like, is it like a cultural thing for us to complain? Because I've had to realize that maybe it is, maybe it's a mindset thing that we all complain constantly, and even I just complain right now. I mean, so I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet, but in any case, if you have any video suggestions for me about things that maybe you'd like to see, or maybe you would be interested in hearing some of my hot takes, I would appreciate to hear it in the comments. I am very much a person who likes to be personal and genuine with my content, and I would be honestly grateful for any comments, any feedback, and any things about my life, or if you've been sticking around for a while, let me know. Anyways, I think I'm gonna end this here. I went on a bit of an event, but do expect some more content from me soon. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!